Hello ladies and gentlemen, I'd like to welcome you to USVA SOL History Review by Standard. I had this wonderful idea in order to help my students to do better on the SOLs at the end of the year, May and June, that I could create these short videos by Standard to help you know exactly what you need to know. My name is Mr. Kerr, and I teach over here at West Potomac High School. Go Wolverines! And my idea can hopefully help you as well. So I'm going to take a minute or so to explain how these videos will work, and then we're going to jump right into the very first standard that you need to know about. So ladies and gentlemen, like I just mentioned, I want to take a minute and explain exactly what these videos are meant for. It's not to enrich yourself with this deep USVA history. It's to give you the stripped down version of exactly what the state of Virginia wants you to know for their standards-based tests at the end of the year. I'm going to be going through each standard in roughly 10 minutes, some longer, some a little bit less, to tell you what you need to know. Okay, and in watching these videos, my hope is that you look a lot less like this guy and a lot more like this girl over here. And of course, our cute little baby down here. I do want you to come and watch a lot of these videos, and I think that they're going to be useful enough and help you pass that SOL. Another thing that I'm going to be doing in these videos, and you'll see it in this one as well, is I'm going to be giving you a couple of activities, a couple charts, a couple fill-ins for you to participate in. Now, I can't check those. You're going to have to check those yourself. Ask your teacher. That's fine. But it's in order to help you. You have to do that work. I can't do everything for you, just like I tell my students over here. So with that being said, let's get right into standard number 2. So ladies and gentlemen, let's get right into it and begin discussing standard number 2, and that is colonial regions and early interactions. Now, I'm going to let you in on a little secret. Us teachers have sort of a blueprint to be able to teach you what you need to know, and that's according to the state of Virginia. So that's all this stuff here in the middle. So this is all of standard 2. Go ahead and take a picture, do what you need to do if you'd like to read through this yourself. That's a good study tool for some, but not all. I'm going to discuss all these things now, and I'm going to move right into it. So let's begin by discussing New England. People coming to the New England counties, mostly Massachusetts Bay, are seeking religious freedom. They want to create what's called a covenant community, and that's language that you need to know, directed by our state of Virginia. A covenant community is one in which religious people, in this case Puritans, want to bind themselves together under one and create a homogeneous community, and that is one in the like of all the others. They set this out in what's called the Mayflower Compact. And the Mayflower Compact, we need to know, is the first written document, governmental document, that's written in the United States, or what will become the United States. Mayflower Compact writes into it that there will be leaders and there will be laws and things like that, and they'll do that at a later time, and they will. But they set out in this compact to be based a religious society. They want to become the city on a hill, a perfect society, and they think they can do that through Puritanism. Now, the Puritans themselves, even though they're seeking religious freedom, they were pretty intolerant to other religions that were not Puritans. As you can see from the name, Puritans are very pure religionists. They believe wholly in the Bible and everything that it says. They didn't like partying, they didn't like dancing, they don't like drinking alcohol, anything. If you did anything other than that, you were likely considered a witch. Obviously, we can't get into the Salem witch trials. That is not in our SOLs. One thing that the New England community is going to set itself aside from other communities is this idea of direct democracy. Now, the way that New England towns were set up is there was one church and everybody met there on Sundays. Again, being a Puritan society, everybody went to church. And they discussed political issues as well as religious ones. And that is, in its truest form, democracy. They decide on everything together. They vote on everything together, and they really discuss everything. Everybody is part of a society. And by everybody, I do mean just men. The last thing that you need to know is that New England, besides religious freedom, do come for some economic opportunities. People in England were being forced out for economic issues, and there are going to be some people coming to New England to seek out new economic opportunities. Now, not as much as in the South, which we're going to talk about as well, but there are going to be some of those here in New England. Now, we're going to stop there for just a moment. Take that in for what you will. That's what you need to know about New England. All right, thank you for coming back after the break. We're going to start on the middle colonies now, and the middle colonies are a lot easier to understand. The middle colonies, unlike the New England colonies, are based off of religious freedom and tolerance. Now, you can imagine lots of people who are not Puritans or who grow out of Puritanism are going to move down to these middle colonies, talking Delaware, Maryland, things like that. And this was a much more diverse area of people, and we're going to get English, Dutch, and German people here in the middle colonies, not just Englishmen like are up in the New England colonies. Now, people in the middle colonies are also seeking economic opportunities. Again, religion isn't as important to them as they practice religious freedom and tolerance. Many Catholics are going to go down here, thus Maryland, and you're going to have other religions too. Some Jews are going to settle in New York. You're going to have other Protestants besides Puritans moving into the area as well. So middle colonies, a lot easier for us to understand. Stop there, come back for the southern colonies. So ladies and gentlemen, let's jump right into the southern colonies. Like I said, it's going to be the most knowledge you need to know out of all three of the regions. Coming to the southern colonies were people seeking economic opportunity. That means they wanted money. They thought there was a ton of gold here, as you've probably seen in Pocahontas, but guess what? There wasn't any. So they need to find a way to make some money, and that is going to be farming. With the longer seasons here, specifically the summer and fall seasons, it's going to be a big harvest time, and therefore farming is going to be how they make their gold. Farming is going to need a lot of labor, and at first they use what's called indentured servants. Indentured servants were people coming to America who were paid for by these landowners, these big landowners. We'll call them plantation owners later. They paid for the indentured servants to come over. The indentured servants work for 5, 7, 8, 9 years and then are freed. They are not slaves. That's a lot different. That's going to come a little bit later. But indentured servitude is something that you do need to know about. Slavery, like I said, is going to come, but we'll talk about that in just one more minute. Early Virginia settlers, they're called Cavaliers. You need to know this. Think UVA when you think of Virginia and Cavaliers. This is English nobility who receive large land holdings from the king. These are people coming over, getting large plots of land, and then going back and needing some labor because they're lazy and they're not going to do it themselves. Indentured servants are going to come and work on these Cavaliers plantations, and then eventually they're going to be able to pay themselves off and work into some other things. Like I said, Jamestown is founded in 1607. It's the first permanent settlement that is going to be successful in America. It is a business venture, again, economic opportunity, that's all they want to do, by the Virginia Company of London. Virginia coming from the Virgin Queen, so that is where that comes from. They do eventually find out that they're going to need to make some laws and some regulations. There's some craziness happening with the Cavaliers, and therefore they say, hey, look, let's come together. We need to make a law system. So they create what's called the House of Burgesses. It's the first elected political body in the United States. I know you can't see that because of my beautiful little face down there on the right. It is the first elected body in the United States. I want to drill that in because that is the language that you need to know. So the House of Burgesses, created in the 1640s, is, again, the first elected political body in the U.S. It was representative. It was not a true democracy. But then again, we don't have a true democracy today either. All right, ladies and gentlemen, we are now on the last part of the standard. We are almost done with the standard. Woohoo! And that part of the standard is the European, African, and American interactions. So let's talk about the European countries first. So the English are going to settle in what is now the eastern United States. Think 13 original colonies, what will eventually become America at first anyway. The Spanish are going to settle in what is now the western United States, Central and South America. Both of these countries are going to lead to violent conflicts with Native Americans, American Indians. Many different conflicts. Again, we don't need to know specifics as of right now, but we are going to we as an Americans are going to lead to conflicts with these Native Americans. Disease brought by these European countries are also going to kill a significant amount of these Native Americans, and that is not good. Obviously, there are going to be some wars that kill people as well, including Indians and the Europeans. However, disease is by far the biggest killer. Now, the French, on the other hand, French are going to settle in modern-day Canada, and they're going to trade furs. They were in a much more cooperative relationship with the Native Americans and not very violent at all. Now, on the other hand, we have the Africans coming to America. Southern colonies start using indentured servitude, except we're running out of land as the servants become freed, and we need something a little bit more permanent. And again, by we, I mean the 13 original colonies, and specific to the southern colonies. The southern colonies are going to need something more permanent, and they're going to turn to the Caribbean, where they were already using slave labor. And that slave labor, they were coming from Africa. The first Africans are going to be brought to America in 1619, and slavery is not going to end until 1865. We'll get to that standard in a few sessions. But what's going to happen is this slavery, and it's going to be based on race. They're going to be using African Americans to do the most of their planting, their growing, their harvesting, all that kind of stuff, to exploit them and make money for them. So like I mentioned before, I was going to give you a couple of resources every single time for you to try and work through these standards by yourself and get some practice in. So what this is designed to do is fill this chart out based on the colonies. Now, there are going to be some things in here that you don't need to know, like Anne Hutchinson and things like that. But the key here is to try and work through what you just learned through me, and hopefully what you remember from your teachers, who've done it probably much better than me, and work through these charts. So go ahead, take a picture, print it out if you are able to, fill this out, and work through it. The answers will be coming in just a moment. All right, ladies and gentlemen, here is that opportunity to check your answers. I really hope you took the time and completed that chart on your own and are now just checking your answers. Of course, you can use just this picture as a study guide and a check for your understanding, but the best way to do it is by individual practice. Congratulations, ladies and gentlemen, you've made it to the end of USVA History SOL Standard Number 2 Review. Oh, wow, that's a lot to say. Let me catch my breath. Really, congratulations, ladies and gentlemen. You made it to the end of the video, and I hope that it was useful for you. I do hope that you come back and watch the other videos in order to prepare for the SOL. Now, this isn't the only study tool that you should use. You should really seek out what your teachers are giving you as well, because this is not the only thing that you're going to need to do and know to pass the SOL. However, it will help you study for the SOL. Until next time, again, my name is Mr. Kerr over at West Potomac High School. I hope that you enjoyed, and I hope you come back. Have a good day, ladies and gentlemen.